So Justice Huni extends his record to 11-0 with a win over Robutti in Australia. And yes, interesting stuff, to be completely honest. Robutti was 11-6 coming into this fight. It's like it was a downgrade from Troy Plitcher, who he beat in his last fight. But I guess it's another keep active fight for Justis Huni. But he gained absolutely nothing from that. And, obviously, I think it's been a decent year for Justis Huni. 3 fights this year. He's been active, got on the Knockout Chaos card, beat Kevin Lerena on that. Then in Australia, fought Troy Plitcher, and then came in earlier today and beat Robutti. But, I just didn't see the point in that fight whatsoever. Justis Huni won the fight in round 2, beating the guy down with body shots, but Robutti was just there to be hit. Justis Huni was just able to spam out his right hand and consistently catch Robutti. He had a decent chin on him, Robutti, but, he couldn't block a shot to save his life. I don't know why this was the fight that was chosen for Justis Huni. I think a big thing is a fight that, would benefit Justis Huni, especially with what we saw during the Kevin Lerena fight for Justis Huni, which, let's be real, that was definitely his toughest test yet. I think, it was clear Justis Huni needs to be in there with guys who can give him some rounds. He destroyed Troy Plitcher in 2 rounds, and now he's beaten Robutti in 2 rounds. Justis Huni in March went the distance with Kevin Lerena and, won the fight, definitely in my opinion. But Kevin Lerena had chances where he hurt him quite late on in the fight. And, Justis Huni was gassing out. So, what Justis Huni's needed is to get rounds in and, get more experience going the distance and, against some decent guys who can take some big shots and, give something back. And that's just not what we've seen in Justis Huni's last 2 fights. So he hasn't really gained anything out of them. And I feel like that's a problem. He needs to be going the distance and, looking fresher than what he did against Kevin Lerena. Because, it was a war in those later rounds. And, Lerena had Huni in a little bit of trouble, to be completely honest. So, Huni's gained nothing out of these 2 fights. He hasn't got rounds in. And the guys he's fought haven't got a record at all. So, it's pointless stuff. Yes, it is always good for him to keep active. But, at least, make these fights, make him fight people where, we can learn from the fights. He's learned nothing from beating Troy Plitcher and beating Robutti today. He's gained nothing from them. No extra rounds in, so not as much, not any more experience than what he had when he fought Kevin Lerena. It's strange, in my opinion, how Justis Huni's being managed, and it needs to be better. But look, overall, though, it wouldn't surprise me if Turki Al-Sheikh wants to get him back on a Saudi show in 2025. And 2025 could be an interesting year for Justis Huni. And let's be real, this fight against Robutti was pretty embarrassing. Let's give Huni, some decent caliber opponent. But, Justis Huni's not a top-level guy yet at all. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. And, if they are to stick him on a Saudi card, he can't have another pointless fight in Australia. Or hopefully Matchroom can bring Justis Huni over to the UK if he's not getting on a Saudi card and give him a decent matchup, in my opinion. That's what should happen with Justis Huni. If it's not a Saudi card, bring him to the UK, get Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren to match him up with some decent opponents over here. But yeah, who should Justis Huni fight next? Who are possible options for him now? I think I don't know. It's interesting. There's some interesting ones. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Michael Hunter. I wouldn't mind that fight. I can't really see it happening, but I wouldn't mind that fight at all. Justis Huni versus Hughie Fury. I think that could be a good fight for both guys. I think it's winnable for both. It wouldn't surprise me whatever way that goes. Hughie Fury can win the fight. Justis Huni can win the fight. That's the level Hughie Fury's at now, I think. And I think Justis Huni can win. I wouldn't mind seeing Justis Huni up against Nelson Heiser, the Albanian heavyweight. I think that could be a good fight again for Justis Huni, and that's a good fight for Heiser as well. I mean, I'd quite like to see Huni out in Feb because obviously Heiser's on the undercard to Chisora versus Warren. Get Huni versus Heiser, and that hopefully Frank Warren could sort something out. But again, I'm not sure that's going to happen. But, again, Michael Hunter, Hughie Fury, they're possible fights that I wouldn't mind for Justis Huni. And I could see Huni possibly fighting Hughie Fury on an undercard to a Saudi card, in my opinion. That's something that could happen. Who else is there that could be an option? Could Otto Wall? No, I don't know. I reckon, would Otto Wallin be the right opponent for Justis Huni if Wallin beats Chisora, or would Wallin be slightly ahead of him? I don't know. Again, it's an option. It is an option. Frank Sanchez could be an option. Obviously, he's coming off a loss to Caballero, but again, no, I wouldn't trust Justis Huni to beat Frank Sanchez. I think Frank Sanchez would probably beat Justis Huni at this point in Huni's career anyway. But yeah, I'm not sure Huni would beat Frank Sanchez, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if that's a fight that happens. Yeah, there's loads of interesting possible opponents in my opinion. Could Arslan Bekmurmudov be one? Could they get him on? Could they get him a fight on a Saudi card against Justis Huni? But again, Vanello could be one because obviously he beat Bekmurmudov, so that one could make sense for Justis Huni. I wouldn't mind that fight, and I think that's one that could happen. Justis Huni versus Vanello. I wouldn't mind that one. Jermaine Franklin, Justis Huni, that's a possible one. I mean, out of all the ones I've named, I think we could see, I reckon Justis Huni would beat Jermaine Franklin. I reckon he'd beat Arslan Bekmurmudov. Vanello's a very interesting fight, in my opinion. Nelson Heiser, Justis Huni is a very interesting fight, in my opinion. I think, as I said, I think Frank Sanchez probably beats Justis Huni. But, there's options for him. I think Justis Huni is an interesting fighter to match up in the heavyweight division. There's options. And also, the interesting thing about Justis Huni as well is that, as of now, I don't think we fully know his level yet either. That's the thing. Because, Kevin the Renner win he got. But again, we don't even fully know the level of Justis Huni just yet. What level is he actually at? So his next fight is going to be very interesting if it's against someone with, decent caliber. It should be as well. It should be. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Thanks for watching and speak to you on the next one.